December 1945. The war in Europe had ended months earlier. Cities were still rebuilding, soldiers were returning home, and the world was trying to understand what 4 years of total war had done to it. Then news spread across America. General George S. Patton was dead. For many Americans, Patton was already a legend. His image had become larger than life, the aggressive commander with ivory-handled pistols, the man who believed war should be fought with speed, shock, and relentless pressure. Newspapers praised him as one of the greatest battlefield commanders of World War II. But inside the United States Army, reactions were more complicated, because the officers who had served beside Patton knew something the public did not. They knew the risks that came with his brilliance. One man in particular remained silent, General Omar Bradley. Bradley had fought beside Patton across some of the most important campaigns of the war. They had commanded armies during the invasion of Sicily. They had planned operations in Normandy. Together, they had helped break the German army in Western Europe. For years, the two men had shared victories, arguments, and moments of intense disagreement. Yet after Patton's death, Bradley refused to publicly explain what he truly thought about his famous colleague. He attended the funeral. He paid his respects. But he said very little. And when he finally did speak years later, what he admitted changed how many historians understood Patton forever. Because Bradley did not simply praise him, he revealed the dangerous truth behind Patton's success. To understand why Bradley's words mattered, we need to return to the beginning of their wartime partnership. July 1943. The Mediterranean Sea was filled with ships. Operation Husky, the Allied invasion of Sicily, had begun. Nearly 3,000 ships approached the island. Tens of thousands of soldiers prepared to land on hostile beaches. The invasion was designed to remove Italy from the war and open a new front against Nazi Germany. British forces under General Bernard Montgomery advanced from the east. American forces landed in the south. Command of the U.S. 7th Army belonged to George S. Patton. Under his command served Omar Bradley, leading American ground forces pushing inland. At first, Allied planners expected limited resistance, but German forces responded quickly. Elite armored divisions moved to block the Allied advance. Mountain terrain slowed movement. Narrow roads forced tanks and trucks into long, vulnerable columns. Progress became slower than expected. Bradley believed patience was necessary. He focused on securing supply routes, protecting infantry units, and preventing unnecessary casualties. Patton believed something different. To him, war rewarded speed. Delay allowed the enemy to recover. And the longer Allied forces moved cautiously, the stronger German defenses would become. For the first time, their leadership styles collided. Bradley trusted calculation. Patton trusted momentum, and Sicily became the battlefield where both philosophies were tested. So what do you think matters more in war? Careful planning, or the courage to move faster than the enemy expects? As the campaign continued, German forces began withdrawing toward the northeastern corner of Sicily. Their goal was the port city of Messina. If they could escape across the narrow strait to mainland Italy, thousands of experienced soldiers would survive to fight again. Patton refused to allow that. He launched a rapid advance across the island, pushing his troops forward day and night. Armored columns raced along coastal roads. Infantry units boarded landing craft and bypassed German defenses. The pace of the advance shocked Allied commanders. Bradley watched carefully. He admired the boldness of Patton's plan, but he also saw the danger. Supply trucks struggled to keep up. Fuel shortages began to appear. If German forces counterattacked successfully, entire American divisions could become isolated. To Bradley, the advance looked dangerously exposed. To Patton, it looked like victory. In the end, Patton's army reached Messina just hours before British forces. The victory made headlines. American morale soared. But inside Allied command, debates about Patton's methods continued. Those debates would return again in 1944. June 1944. The Allied invasion of Normandy had begun. Bradley commanded the U.S. First Army as American forces fought their way through the dense hedgerows of northern France. German defenses were strong. Progress was painfully slow. For weeks, American troops advanced only a few kilometers. Then came Operation Cobra. Massive bombing shattered German lines, and suddenly, the front collapsed. At that moment, Patton's newly activated Third Army surged into action. His armored units moved faster than Allied headquarters had expected. Within days, Patton's forces were racing across France. German units retreated in confusion. Entire cities were liberated in rapid succession. Bradley later admitted something remarkable about this advance. Patton moved so quickly that Allied command often struggled to understand where his units actually were. Speed created opportunities, but it also created danger. Fuel supplies ran dangerously low. Flanks stretched thin. A single successful German counterattack could have trapped thousands of American soldiers. Once again, Bradley saw risk. Patton saw opportunity. Two commanders viewing the same battlefield through completely different lenses. And yet together, their approaches helped drive the German army back toward its own borders. After the war ended, historians began debating Patton's legacy. Was he reckless, or was he brilliant? Many expected Bradley to provide a simple answer, but Bradley refused to describe Patton in simple terms. Years after the war, he finally explained what made Patton such a powerful and dangerous commander. Patton, Bradley said, succeeded because he moved faster than war was supposed to move. Most generals waited until every detail was confirmed before acting. Patton did the opposite. He acted before certainty existed. Sometimes that created extraordinary victories. Sometimes it created enormous risk. But in the chaos of World War II, that willingness to act quickly often gave the Allies the advantage. Bradley did not deny Patton's flaws. He knew better than anyone how difficult Patton could be. But he also understood something many critics ignored. War does not reward perfect personalities. War rewards results. And Patton delivered results. That was the truth Bradley finally admitted. Victory sometimes depends on commanders who are impossible to control. Men whose instincts push them forward when caution says to wait. Without officers like Bradley, armies remain organized. Without commanders like Patton, wars can last much longer. Maybe that is why Bradley waited so long before explaining Patton's legacy. Because the truth was complicated. Patton was not the perfect general. But in the most destructive war in human history, perfection was never the requirement. Effectiveness was. If you enjoy real military history told through decisions, personalities, and the difficult realities of war, consider subscribing to the channel. Because history is not only about what happened, it is about the people who made the decisions that changed everything.